Alright, I gotta be honest, I'm tired of trying to come up with good intros for these things, so just show the mods, Stackley, nobody cares.
The mods we're looking at today are from my Modpack, Sensible MC, available on Modrinth, running on Fabric 1.21.1. We'll also be looking at all the resource and shader packs that are included as well.
So if you're looking for cool mods to try out, this is the place to be. And do me a favor and stay in that seat. Watch the video through. My car's radiator just exploded and I need money to fix it. I specifically reduced the number of ads on this video so that your experience wouldn't be so bad. The least you can do is bridle that attention span of yours and finish what you started, get to the end of this video so that it goes whoop and I don't get screwed. Okay, thank you.
A good place. This mod gives a little animation to any blocks that you place in the game. Accurate block placement is a mod which removes the delay between placing blocks. So all you have to do is hold down right click and blocks will be placed wherever your cursor is aiming. Adventure dungeons. This mod adds a variety of new trial chambers to the game in a bunch of different biomes and a couple of different configurations which all look really cool and are interesting to explore. So go check them out if you can find them. Allay upgrades is a mod which adds a couple of quality of life improvements to allays. For one, you can store them in books by dropping a book on them and then dropping it again, or make them stay put on top of amethyst blocks. Ambient environment. This mod adds some variation to large swaths of grass blocks, so that way they're not as uniform and they have a little bit of variety to them. Amendments is a variety mod that adds some visual and functional changes to the game, like making hanging signs and lanterns swing when you touch them, adding rich text formatting to books and quills, and showing what music disc is playing on a jukebox. And a bunch of other things. Animal feeding trough. This mod adds a trough item to the game which can be filled with food for animals, and when placed, animals will passively approach it and breed when they're able to. That way you don't have to constantly be manually feeding your animals, they'll just eat when they can. Another furniture mod. This mod adds a variety of different furniture blocks to the game, like chairs, tables, planting pots, stools, drawers with their own storage, drapes, and a bunch of other things as well. Very good mod. Apple skin. This mod adds visuals for saturation info with different food items, so you can see how much it will feed you and how many hearts you will replenish. Archers RPG series. This mod is one of many in the RPG series and adds a bunch of content around archery, so new bows, new bow abilities, bow types, a villager profession, and more. Architecture API. This is a support mod and it needs to be installed for these mods to work. Arsenal for the RPG series adds a bunch of kind of endgame weapons and items for the other RPG mods in the RPG series. So they're kind of like endgame items for the other mods. Attack through grass. This mod makes it so that if you are targeting a mob and you click, it will actually hit the mob instead of hitting the grass. Auditory Continued is a simple mod that adds a couple of additional sounds to different things in the game, like updating some of the block sounds to be a little bit more modern, some dropping sounds, boat placing, and other things. Aura, or Ara or whatever, is a mod that adds a couple of new particles and visuals to the game, like that Eye of Ender placement, or these particles around torches and the end portal, or campfires. Azure Lib Armor is another support mod, which is necessary for some of the RPG series to work. Balm is another support mod necessary for these mods to work. Beautified Chat Client. This mod gives you a couple of controls related to how the chat looks, so message color, username, duplicate messages, all those kind of things. Bedrock Inventory Animations gives you control over how items move in the game with a handy little 3D graph, and it makes items look really pleasing. Better Climbing. This mod makes you go faster up and down ladders, so they don't take forever now. Better Ladders. This mod allows you to place ladders independently, so without blocks behind them, which means you can kind of put them into the air. Isn't that awesome? Look at these two strong towers out there on the, oh my gosh! Better Nether Map. This mod fixes maps in the Nether by not making them just render the bedrock ceiling and instead actually showing you the terrain. Better Safe Bed allows you to sleep as long as mobs can't pathfind directly to you. Better Than Mending is a mod that allows you to just sneak and right click on any item with the mending enchantment in order to repair it. It doesn't affect the standard behavior of mending, but I think this is a big improvement. Better Third Person. This mod frees up your third person camera lock so that your character will actually rotate and turn wherever you're looking in third person view. Blasting Plus. This mod adds more functionality to the blast furnace by allowing it to cook stone, cobble, deep slate, netherrack, clay, yellow terracotta, sand, basalt, and quartz, and a bunch of others. Bookshelf is another library mod necessary for these mods to run. Bosses of Mass Destruction. This mod adds a bunch of new, very difficult bosses to the game, like the Lich, the Obsidiolith, the Nether Gauntlet, and the Void Blossom. Each boss kind of has their own evil lair that you can find around the map, and fighting them can be quite the challenge. If you do manage to kill them, you can craft some pretty crazy endgame items that give you special abilities like Creative Flight in survival, or a spear that lets you teleport through blocks. Brainier Bees. This mod adds a couple of optimizations and updates to bee logic in the game so that they behave a little bit better than vanilla. Brewin' and Chewin'. This is an add-on for the Farmer's Delight mod, which adds a bunch of different food items related to things that you can ferment. So different kinds of alcohols, different kinds of cheeses, and it's implemented really well. The alcohol does add a new inebriated effect, let's say, so yeah, don't go too crazy with it or drive after. Yeah, you're gonna have problems. Yeah, it gives you tons of debuffs and stuff. Bronze. This mod adds a new ore type to the game, tin, which when combined with copper can be smelted to create bronze, which is basically like iron, but with a little bit more durability. So you can make it into a bunch of tools and armors, even a door and trapdoor type. So yeah, it's just like basically a better version of iron. Camera Overhaul. This mod adds a bunch of controls to configure how the first-person camera behaves in the game. So I've kind of exaggerated it here so you can see the sway and the tilting and the drifting that happens to the first-person camera. Camera Utils. This mod gives you a zoom function, which is probably one of my favorite features in the game, as well as gives you a slider for how far the third-person camera. It also gives you a cinematic camera, which kind of smooths out your mouse movement, and finally another third-person view that you can customize with these controls. Cardinal Components API is another support mod necessary for Bosses of Mass Destruction to run. Carry On. This mod allows you to pick up tile entities like chests or mobs, so that way you can transport your chests or any animals a little bit more easily. You just carry them in your hands. You can only do one at a time, but you can't stack animals, which is pretty funny actually. You can kind of get carried away though. Charm of Undying. This mod basically makes the Totem of Undying work with the Trinkets mod, which we'll talk about later, allowing you to equip it in the Trinket slot in order to use it. Chat Animation. This mod adds a little smooth moving up animation, a little ascending animation to any chat messages that are sent in the chat window, which is pretty cool. Chat heads. This mod adds your player's face texture to any messages you send in the chat, so that way you can tell who's chatting more easily. Chat patches. This mod adds a bunch of customizability to the chat so that you can keep the log if you want, or change message color, things like that. Cheaper maps. This mod allows you to craft a map item with paper and an ink sac instead of paper and a compass, so it's a little bit easier to acquire maps with this mod installed. Chef's Delight. See, I'm not rich enough to hire my own personal chef or sous chef in real life, but I can in Minecraft. This mod adds two new villager professions, the cook and the chef, which will sell you food-related items in the Farmer's Delight mod. Chest Pack Backpacks is probably one of the more broken mods in this list. They honestly could have called it Poor Man's Shulker Box because it allows you to pick up chests and put them in your inventory. You can also render it on your back if it's in your offhand, but it's literally almost exactly the same functionality as a shulker box. You just craft it and then you destroy click a chest and it will keep all of its items and be in your inventory. Chunky. Despite what you may think, this mod is not a description of your mother. I'm just kidding. It's a chunk pre-generator, so you type in some code in the chat and it will pre-generate a bunch of the chunks so that they don't take as long to load in the future, making your world run faster. Cicada. I'm getting kind of tired talking about these support mods, but I'm going to include them. Clean tooltips. This mod improves the look of tooltips in the game to look a little cleaner. Client sort. This mod adds a simple sorting functionality to any inventory in the game. You just have to press a hotkey and boom, your inventory sorted. Client tweaks is a mod that adds, tweaks to the client. So things like not placing the last torch from your offhand, disabling step assist, a bunch of stuff like that. Cloth Config API is a support mod. Oh, la, 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 la. Clumps. This mod improves the performance of experience in the game by clumping them together so that they don't take up so much of the rendering. Collective is a library mod for beautified chat client, inventory totem, no animal. There's not enough room. Comfortable Campfires is a mod that gives you the comfort effect whenever you're near a campfire. And the comfort effect basically gives you regeneration as if you were full, even though you are not full.
Configuration, the ambiance support mod.
Continuity. This mod adds Optifine kind of functionality where you can use connected texture resource packs, basically. Controlling. This mod adds a search function to the keybinds menu, meaning that you can find a keybind a lot more easily, and a bunch of other functionality. Cool Rain is a mod that improves rain noises, so have a listen. Copper rails. This mod adds a new copper variant of the rail system with varying different speeds based on how oxidized the copper gets. The more oxidized, the slower, so you can change up the speed a little bit. It also adds like a junction block so you can change directions. Coro Util is another library mod used by the What Are They Up To mod. Craftable name tags. Long gone are the days of needing to find a name tag in a chest somewhere. This mod allows you to craft a name tag now, so you can finally name stuff without it taking forever. Craftable saddles is a similar mod that adds, again, another like common sense recipe to the game. It's like, what the heck are we doing, Mojang? Here, finally you can craft your own dang saddles. Craftable trident. You're probably beginning to see a pattern here. The whole idea is that I want to be able to make cool stuff. And with this mod, you can make a trident, which is pretty cool. Careful. Crawl. Lynn, dreaming, wishing for diamonds, crawling, thanks to this mod that lets you crawl when you press a keybind. Distant Horizons. This mod is insane. It lets you load LODs in Minecraft to get crazy render distances when you're actually only rendering a very small number of actual chunks, which lets you effectively see crazy far with good performance. It works with shaders now, and it's been updated a bit recently. Go watch, there's a video that the creator put out recently. It's really cool. Go check it out. Door knocking. Now, I usually try to be kind to solicitors when they come to my house, but I mean, maybe this mod will get a little bit too much. It allows you to basically punch a door and it will make a loud door knocking sound. Drop Spread 2 is a mod that makes it so that when you die, rather than scattering your items everywhere, like in vanilla Minecraft, they will all instead be bunched together, making it easier to get them. Dynamic Crosshair adds some customizability and functionality to the crosshair in the game. So it'll give you some info as to whether or not you're holding the right tool, or you can make it disappear altogether. Dynamic FPS is a performance mod that reduces your FPS while the game is out of focus in order to save on resources. Dynamic Surroundings is a mod that adds a bunch of visual and auditory enhancements to the game, like reverb or ambient noises based on which biome you're in. It also adds a bunch of particle effects and sound effects, actually, to various different parts of the game, like when water touches lava, there's going to be like steam, and it also adds footstep sounds and some other kind of little sounds to your character depending on what you're wearing and what you're using. Easy anvils. Now, I'm no blacksmith, but it would make sense to me that if I put stuff on the anvil, they're gonna stay on the anvil. And with this mod, that's now the case. So with this mod installed, any items you put in the anvil will stay in the anvil until you take them out or use it. Easy magic. This mod is running basically on the same principle as Easy Anvils in that you can keep items in the inventory of the enchanting table. It also adds a reroll function, so if you want different enchantments than what are offered, then you can spend some lapis and some experience and get new enchants until you get what you want. Eating Animation is a mod that adds some texture updates to any food items that you're eating. So you'll see them progressively get bitten into more and more as you take each bite, which is pretty cool. Economical Villager Trading is a mod that makes villagers' restocking mechanic a little bit more sophisticated, so villagers will restock a buy or a sell trade more dynamically. Effective. This mod adds a bunch of really interesting looking visuals to things like water splashing, bubbles under chests, so bubbles, chests underwater emit bubbles now, firefly particles at night, and these little skulk dust particles. Elytra Drag. With this mod installed, you're able to kind of put the brakes on your elytra, kind of open the flaps like an airplane in order to slow down your acceleration so that you don't smack into stuff and die. Entity model features and entity texture features are almost like support or library mods, as they allow certain resource packs to work properly with almost kind of Optifine functionality. So yeah, Elytra Trinket. With this mod installed, you'll be able to keep your chest plate on as well as equip your Elytra. It adds like a trinket slot that you're able to place the Elytra into so that you can wear your armor and also fly with an Elytra. Enchanted Vertical Slabs is a mod that adds vertical slabs to the game. I don't know what makes them so enchanted or something. Maybe that was just the developer trying to make them sound different, but yeah, it adds vertical slabs, which is pretty cool. Builders can go crazy now with all kinds of different shapes and sizes and blocks and stuff. It's pretty sick, actually. Enchantment Descriptions is a mod that adds descriptions to enchantments. Gosh, dang it. My job is so easy and so boring sometimes. Enderscape. This mod adds a bunch of new creatures and biomes to the end dimension. One of my favorite mods of this entire list. It adds new food types like this fruit and these drifting creatures called drifters or driftlings, I think, which you can bounce on for some reason. A bunch of different stone types and ores. There's honestly so much to go over here. New equipment, like these leggings that give you like 0G. Two of the coolest items this thing adds is like this mirror and this magnet item, which uses this certain ore as fuel. And yeah, the magnet item, you can basically attract any dropped blocks to you or any dropped items from far away. So you can pick up items that are from far away. Look at that, that looks cool. And the mirror works by allowing you to connect to a lodestone and teleport to it. There's also a bunch of new wood types and new end cities with trial loot, so genuinely one of the best mods I've ever seen. Entity Culling is a performance mod which reduces the number of entities that are rendered and greatly improves FPS and TPS performance. Euphoria Patches. With this mod installed, your complementary Unbound shader settings will have additional settings that add a bunch of cool effects and visuals to the shader, which already looks great, but with these, it makes it look way better. Explorer's Compass. This mod adds a new compass item that allows you to search for any structure in the game, which is maybe a little broken, but I don't know, just use it smartly, dude. You don't have to ruin the game for yourself. Explorify. Speaking of structures, this mod adds a bunch of different structures and locations that can spawn in your world, and I think they look pretty good. Explosive Enhancement is a mod that improves upon the visuals around explosions a little bit. So it adds underwater explosions as well as improving the normal explosions. You can customize it and kind of change what parts of the explosion are kept and are not kept and make it look how you want. Exposure. The exposure mod adds cameras and photo taking to Minecraft. So with the camera, you can take pictures, which become these kind of like picture items, almost like maps, showing what you took a picture of. You can put them in item frames or in photo albums, which is really cool. Exposure Polaroid is an add-on to the original exposure mod, which adds the Polaroid camera, which can take photos that instantly develop. Fabric API is, well, Fabric. You can't really run mods without Fabric. Fabric Language Kotlin is a support mod that is used by these mods. Fabric Seasons. With this mod installed, the overworld now gets the standard 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And what's cool about this mod is that it actually affects crop growth, block colors, and weather. Fabric Seasons Delight Compat is a mod that adds compatibility between Farmer's Delight and the Fabric Seasons mod. Fabric.mod.jar. I found this in the mods folder and disabled it, but my game is still running, which is a little weird, and it's actually the first of many, so I'm not sure what to think about this. Beowulf's Library, for example, I disabled, and yet my game is still running, which is weird because these mods added themselves, so I'm just gonna leave them on because they could be important even if the game is still able to run without them. Falling Leaves is a very subtle, lightweight visual mod that adds falling leaf particles from different leaf blocks. Falling Tree is a mod that adds a bunch of different tree chopping logic, like instantaneous, falling item, falling block, falling all block, and shift down, which is my personal favorite. Farmer's Delight Refabricated adds a bunch of cooking mechanics to Minecraft, mainly using the pot and the skillet to make a bunch of different types of food types, which are really interesting to make and are really beneficial to the player to eat and to use. And so it adds a bunch of different other things like rope and some cosmetic blocks as well as storage blocks. It adds wild plant variants as well as a bunch of new crops. First person model. This mod makes it so that you can see your player model in first person view. So Yeah, that means you can see your arms and stuff. The settings allow you to turn on vanilla mode, which is how I usually prefer to use it. That way you can keep your arms. Fishing reel. With this mod installed, any fish you pull up with a fishing rod will actually be the live entity rather than just the item sprite, which is pretty awesome, except for when you pull up a pufferfish, which kind of sucks. Fixed villager trades. This mod removes the ability to re-roll or cycle through villager profession trades by breaking their profession block, and instead just fixes them, makes them stay. Flat bedrock. This mod updates your world gen so that the bedrock layer is nice and smooth. Food effect tooltips. This mod adds information to food item tooltips to let you know what effect will be applied if you eat that food. Footprint particle adds footprint particles to any entities that are walking, usually on grass or softer substances. Forge config API port is another one of those mods that I was able to disable and my game is still running, but I'm going to leave it enabled because I don't know what it's doing. FPS display. This mod makes your FPS counter visible in the top left corner. Friends and foes. With this mod installed, you'll be able to find all of the mobs that were going to be added in the mob votes but didn't get added, like the copper golem, crabs, the glare, and a bunch of other entities that are honestly too much to get into. Whoa! Like this fire thing, I forgot what it's called. This guy's kind of cool, he gives you stuff. New beehive variants and a beekeeper profession, as well as some new items like these totems of undying that have different effects. Fizzy config. This is a library mod used by the subtle effects mod. Gecko lib. This is another support mod used by a bunch of these different mods. Gipples galore. This mod adds an interesting new little subset biome of the caves that spawns these gelatin blocks and the Gipple mob, which are these cute little floating alien things which you can put in a bucket. These Gipples will create gelatin on the ground, which you can eat, although it's not very filling. And you can breed them by feeding them glow lichen, and there's a small chance that they'll split into two different Gipples. So you can breed them. And sometimes they turn into this abomination, which is kind of spooky, so be careful. Grind enchantments. This mod adds a new functionality to the grindstone where you can basically grind enchantments off of enchanted items or books onto other books. Guarding. This mod adds some new functionality to the shield item where if you block right at the right moment, you can block items and even repel projectiles back at those that shot them. Hardcore revival. Have y'all ever played Fortnite? Yeah, this basically adds a downed state so your friends can res you.
Oh, there's a creeper. Oh my gosh. Please.
I gotcha.
You like that? You like that? I go, oh, there's a freaking TNT.
That was hilarious.
Creeper right next to it, bro. Is there a quick button to full screen it?
Oh, wow. Full screen what?
My game.
Hardcover. This mod adds a bunch of quality of life improvements to the recipe book, like keeping the inventory centered in the screen, inverting the scroll direction, quick crafting, and grouping recipes together, a bunch of good stuff. Hearths. This mod adds a couple of new structures to the Nether, mainly just a warped and crimson tower type thing with some loot and spawners in them. Horse buff. This mod overhauls some of the horse mechanics, like making tamed horses stay still and not wander when you leave them, improving the step height so you can go over path blocks, removing the mining penalty when you're mining on top of a horse, letting you swim with the horse, removing the horse bucking mechanic, and letting you name a horse Rainbow. Iceberg. I find it funny that there are library mods used by only one mod in here. Illager invasion. With this mod installed, the Illagers are expanded upon. There's a lot more of them, and there's a lot more structures that they spawn in. So towers and keeps and labyrinths. There's a couple of more. There's additional casters and sorcerers who shoot spells, and there's also a bunch of new items in the game, like this cool throwing hatchet and a bunch of other materials that are dropped when you kill the item. So all in all, great overhaul to the Illager mechanics. Immersive hotbar. This mod adds some tiny little animations to items in your hotbar. Whenever you scroll over them or use them, they'll shrink and grow very pleasingly. Immersive UI. On a similar note, this mod adds some animations and subtle swinging and popping out effects to items that you're moving in the inventory, and rare ones will have these cool little flashy particle trails. Immersive thunder. This mod just adds some more realistic thunder and weather sounds to the game. Inventory essentials. This mod adds some functionality to your mouse by allowing you to kind of control click and move all of one type or just one from a stack in your inventory. Inventory totem. This mod's similar to Charm of Undying in that you only need to have your Totem of Undying just in your inventory and it will use it. It doesn't work with the modded totems though from Friends and Foes. Move or inventory move. This mod allows you to move while your inventory or UI is open. Iris shaders. So we're going to cover some shader packs later in this video, but this mod allows you to basically use shaders. It allows you to work in conjunction with Sodium to get shaders in the game. Item descriptions. With this mod installed, if you sneak click over any items, or well, vanilla items mostly, you'll get a little description telling you what the item does. Item highlighter. This mod makes it so that any new items that enter your inventory will have a little star to make it easier to know that those are new items. Jade. This mod gives you a special functionality to basically see information about certain blocks, entities, or containers that you're looking at. So it'll tell you the contents of chests and stuff like that. You can customize it pretty well too. Jewelry from the RPG series. This adds a bunch of different rings and necklaces, as well as a villager profession to the game, which kind of works in conjunction with the RPG and gives you a bunch of different effects and stuff. And it adds a new ore with all these different types of jewels that can be used to craft everything. So yeah, get out there, get the bling on. Just enough items. This mod gives you this big window of all of the items and their crafting recipes, or basically every recipe you could want with it. Smelting stuff. Yeah, it just tells you everything you need to know about different items. Just hammers. This mod adds new hammer items to the game, which can break a bunch more blocks than just a standard pickaxe, and it increases in number from just a 1x3 to a 3x3 to a 5x1 to a 5x5, which is a pretty crazy endgame hammer, because in order to craft all these hammers, you need to get increasingly more expensive hammer cores to craft additional hammers, and that can, yeah, it's pretty endgame stuff there. Clee slabs. With this mod installed, slabs you place will be able to be broken in half no matter which side you're breaking, which differs from vanilla functionality, as you can see here with the vertical slabs, which don't work, where if you break it, the whole block breaks instead of just the one half. Lamb dynamic lights. This mod adds almost a shader functionality with making any handheld lights cast light around you rather than just only when you place the block, which is pretty nice. Leather bundles. This mod allows you to craft the bundle item using leather and 2 string, which is really great for storage solutions if you want to be able to scoop items up into the leather bundle item, which doesn't show up in the JEI, but does in the recipe book for some reason. Liberty's villagers. This mod overhauls a bunch of mechanics around villagers, like making certain professions actually do things, like fisher's fish and butcher's feeding pigs. The cleric also heals the player. The smithy heals iron golems, and a bunch of other features and functions around golems and cats and stuff. Lithium is a Minecraft performance mod, which is apparently just a general optimization for servers and infrastructure and increased responsiveness, all that good stuff. Lithosphere. I have mixed feelings about terrain generation mods, but so far what I've seen from this one, the terrain is really awesome. There's a lot of height variation, and I think the thing I prefer the most about it is, see, that's vanilla right there, and this is lithosphere, and it kind of spreads things out and makes the biomes and different types of biomes, it spreads them out a little bit more naturally. Like if you see vanilla here has this harsh cutoff with the snow, and so the terrain just makes more sense. Like look at this swamp. It's just like, look at how the terrain slopes down into it, and it's this little patch, and it's a swamp. Looter is a multiplayer focused mod that adds instanced loot, which means loot that generates in the world will have individual inventories for different players. Luna slimes. This mod adds a couple of little improvements to slime entities in the game, mainly some stuff with their animations, but also this slime effect, which makes it so you can't jump, and a chance that slimes, smaller slimes, will merge together back into a bigger one. MRU is another support mod for the sounds mod, another individual one. Magic Mirror. With this mod installed, you'll be able to craft a magic mirror item, which is from Terraria. Yes, I'm aware, I've seen the comments. And with this item, you'll be able to teleport back to your spawn point, basically. So with the click of a button, and after a bit of a cooldown, you'll be able to return to your bed. Make bubbles pop. This mod just adds a little bit of an update to bubble particles, which makes it so that when they pop, they actually look like they're exploding. Map atlases is the update to maps and map systems in Minecraft that we've been needing for a long time. It adds basically a book of maps that just connects all your maps together. So now you don't have to have individual different maps. You could just put them all, like empty maps, into the one atlas, and it will just fill them in as you walk and as you look at the map. And you can open up a little world map, you can take maps out of it, and you can add waypoints and all that good stuff. Master Cutter. This mod updates the stone cutting block to not just cut stone, but to also cut wood types as well. So you can get all the different types of wood variants by placing logs into the cutter, which is pretty awesome. Minecraft Cursor. This mod updates the system cursor, or what your mouse looks like basically, to something a little bit more Minecraft-y, and you can customize it quite a bit, and there's all different types of things for the different things your mouse does, and I think it looks really good. Mod menu. This mod adds a mods button to your main menu screen that has a big list of all of the different mods that you have installed and allows you to access the config menus and config files for a bunch of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them, which is really useful if you need to make changes on the fly. Moonlight Lib is a support mod for amendments, map atlases, and supplementaries. More Delight is a add-on for the Farmer's Delight mod, which adds toast and bread cutting and a bunch of other recipes to the game. So you got toast here and a bunch of it adds burgers. Oh my gosh, guys, install the mod. It adds burgers. This is amazing. This is awesome. It adds burgers. It adds burgers, guys. Forget that. A loaded hamburger. More RPG library. This is another one of those mods that I could turn off, but it still works. Like, here is the, well, spoilers for the mod in the future, but it's still working. Mouse tweaks. This mod adds a bunch of functionality to your mouse and manipulating items in inventories. A lot of people have told me that stuff is still vanilla anyways, but look, the mod adds stuff. Just try the mod. Musket mod. This mod adds, wait for it, muskets to the game, which come in a bunch of different variants. So the main musket, the musket with bayonet, and one with a scope. And they shoot paper cartridges, and they deal a lot of damage. So you can go hunting now in Minecraft. But wait, careful, dun 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 dun. There might be some undead Americans. Right to bear arms, am I right? Oh, Nature's Compass. This mod adds a new compass type similar to the previous one we looked at, except this time it can search for any biome in the world. So you search for a biome, and it'll indicate the distance and the direction so you can find that biome. Nether Chords. With this mod installed, you'll be able to just press a keybind and get the exact coordinates for where you are in the overworld when you're in the nether, and where the nether is when you're in the overworld. Nether Depths Upgrade is a mod that adds a ton of new content and features to the nether dimension, mainly fishing in lava and fishing up a bunch of new fish types, like this blazefish here, and a bunch of other types. There's honestly way too many to go over. There's that big one in the back that looks really, really cool. But all of these fish, they drop different types, and you can eat some of them, I think. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked into it entirely. You can make a pair of boots out of them that has like soul speed on it. But if we look underneath the lava itself, you can see there's all the fish, and there's new kind of like lava seaweed, which can be made into some decorative blocks. The mod also adds a kind of glass that makes lava clear, so you can make an under lava aquarium if you want. It also adds lava sponges. Nether Portal Fix. Fixes an issue with nether portals where if they're too close together, they'll just link up where you don't want them to. But with this mod, you can have nether portals closer together and they'll stay apart. No Animal Tempt Delay is a mod that, well, removes the delay to luring animals when you are using their food to lure them. So instead, they'll just immediately start following you as long as you're holding the item. No Hotbar Looping is a mod that adds some functionality to the hotbar where it won't cycle itself. It'll stop on either end. Nocturnal Bats. With this mod installed, you'll find bats naturally spawning in the overworld at night. So above ground in the overworld at night, because bats come out at night. Northern Compass is a mod which improves and overhauls compasses to actually use cardinal directions. So they'll match with maps where up is now up, and, well, north and south and east and west, basically. Not Enough Animations is a mod that brings some of the first-person type of visuals to third-person view. So eating food and looking through spyglass, crawling, and using a ladder, you can all see better in third person now. Nif's Spiders improves how spiders look in the game by allowing them to actually rotate and face the direction or surface that they're walking and standing on. So you'll see them climbing on ceilings and stuff. Octolib is another library mod for the immersive UI mod. How fun. Omni Hopper is a mod that adds a couple of new hoppers to the game, mainly the Omni Hopper, which can be placed in any direction, which allows you to basically do lateral transportation of items. There's also the Flopper, which can move fluids between storages, which is pretty interesting. I'm not smart enough to know what you would do with that, but I'm sure some of you will. as well as an open box, which is like a poor man's create mod because it just spits out items. Packed packs is one of my favorite mods I've ever seen. It adds a new screen to your resource pack menu that adds draggable lists, which is pretty interesting. But the main functionality that it adds is you're able to make profiles basically and customize these profiles to set what resource packs and what order these resource packs are in. And you can switch between them super quickly, just set them all up and then hit apply packs on the bottom and it will apply that to your game. And so it just makes dealing with your resource packs much, much easier. Paladins and Priests adds a bunch of new armor sets and weapons and magic, even a villager profession, as with the other RPG series, around the cleric and paladin type of role in the RPG world. So the paladin is going to be kind of more defensive with magic, healing spells, and some AoE effects, and supporting your team. So a lot of the spells and stuff in here are based around supporting yourself, healing yourself, rather than being so offensive. You can see here, you can kind of cast these healing spells, this shield and stuff, which is pretty cool. I'd usually take more of a rogue role, but this is there. Particle effects. With this mod installed, any potion particles that are floating around your character will have more customized and unique particles to them so that you can differentiate which effect is which a bit better, a bit more easily. Particle interactions. This mod adds the same breaking particle effect to any blocks that you place. Particle rain. This mod updates some of the rain textures and other weather particle effects and stuff associated with rain, and it's really customizable. You can change around a couple of the visuals. I couldn't recreate the water streaks or the ground fog. That's not working on my end, but still a great mod. Passive shield. This mod makes it so that as long as you have a shield in your offhand, you will take reduced damage. So even if you're not blocking with a shield, as long as you have it in your offhand, you won't take as much damage. Peak. With this mod installed, you can get a little bit more information from tooltips on things like shulker boxes, what they're holding, compasses, where spawn is, bee nest, how many bees it has and honey it contains, and your death location on a recovery compass. Persistent parrots. This mod makes it so that tamed parrots will stay on your shoulder basically all the time unless you go fully underwater or if you crouch jump, which is kind of the way to make them get off your shoulder. So that way your parrots won't run off on you when you don't want them to. Pet protect. This mod makes it so that you can't hurt your tamed pets. I don't know why you would want to do that anyways. Maybe you'll do it by accident. You know, we've all been there. But with this mod, you don't have to worry about it. Player Animator is a support mod for the Spell Engine, so the RPG series. Polymorph is a mod that fixes an issue when two different recipes are conflicting with each other. So if you have an item or two different items that have the same crafting recipe, it'll add this little button that allows you to switch which one you're trying to craft. And I couldn't actually find an example of that because I don't think there is any in my mod pack, but it's still good to have. Portable crafting. With this mod installed, you can access any of these functional blocks just by right-clicking on them. Or in the case of the crafting table, you can just press a keybind. But that means you don't have to place them in order to use them. Not these ones, though. Potion stacking. Pretty straightforward. It means that potions can now stack up to 16. So that you can hold more of them in your inventory, I guess. Prickle. You know, at this point, I'm really starting to wonder just what these library mods are doing for these other mods. Like Puzzles Lib, which makes all of these other mods work. Like, gosh. Quick menu. With this mod installed, you're able to access basically like a little clipboard of preset commands. So yeah, I have a bunch of commands set to change my game mode, to summon certain things. I use this a lot when I'm in creative or I'm trying to use a bunch of different commands. If we go into the action editor, we can make a new command by making basically a button that runs a certain command. So here we've set something to just say hello whenever we press it. Raised. With this mod installed, we're able to solve that issue where the hotbar is like clipping or it's too close to the bottom of the screen by accessing this menu, which allows us to control where exactly our hotbar and a bunch of other UI elements rest on the screen. Ranged Weapon API. At this point, I'm really wondering why these mods got installed to begin with. I didn't add them. They got added automatically. Reach Around. This mod allows you to place blocks that are not directly facing you, in directions that you're not directly facing. So you can bridge, you can drop blocks below you or above you more easily. Realistic Fire Spread updates fire code so that it spreads a little bit, well, more realistically. So things that are on fire will catch other stuff on fire. Not mobs that are burning in the sunlight, though, thankfully. Recipe Book is Pain adds these tabs on the recipe book that we saw earlier. So yeah, it basically organizes all of the items just like the Creative tab. Recipe tweaks updates a bunch of recipes and adds a couple of recipes to the base game. There's too many to cover, so just take a look at these screenshots. A lot of these just make a lot of sense and make the game a lot easier to play, if you ask me. Redstone pen adds a ton of new content to redstone, like these items here. What's nice about this mod is that it doesn't interfere with actual redstone functionality, it just adds to it. It basically allows you to place in a higher resolution level and adds a bunch of redstone relays and things that can be placed on the wall. It also adds wireless redstone, which is pretty crazy. Reimagined trims adds recipes to clone or duplicate different trims so that you get more of them. It doesn't work with some modded trims though. Relics. So in keeping with the RPG series thing, this adds a bunch of little elements and charms and things that can be equipped to a slot in your inventory that add a bunch of different effects, like on-hit effects, different buffs to your character. A couple of them do have active use effects, but I couldn't really see those working too well, except this one, which kind of worked like a Totem of Undying, but for armor. Remove loading screen is a mod that allows you to still interact with your game while resource packs and resources in the game are being loaded. Now, there will come a moment like right here where, and this is real time, where it will have to like freeze everything and load it in. But all in all, I think it's just a little bit smoother and makes your gameplay experience less interrupted as you're changing around resource packs and things like that. So W mod. Resourceful lib. Do I even have to say anything at this point? You guys get the point. Why did I include these? Respawning animals. With this mod installed, passive mobs like these farm animals get the same kind of spawning mechanics as hostile mobs. So if we unload the chunk and then teleport back and load that same chunk, all of those mobs are now gone, which means that your world will come and go with new animals more often. Ribbits. This mod adds new village types to swamp biomes populated by ribbits, which are these adorable little frog characters that walk around and do various little things. They got houses, they got some loot in the houses, mainly amethysts and, you know, swampy things. You can actually trade these amethysts with some of these frogs for, you know, buckets of stuff. But this is probably my favorite feature. I'm at peace. This is my favorite thing ever. Rogues and Warriors adds Rogues and Warrior RPG roles that you can play in the game. It gives you different weapons, a new profession for a villager, different spell, magic items, and armor. So we're going to take a look at some of those. So the Warrior, he can like throw his battle axe, and he's got a bunch of other different abilities. One of which is like this cool spin attack, but with the rogue item, you can like teleport and go invisible and deal more damage, I guess, with the knife weapon that's added to the game. Really cool stuff. Rotten Flesh to Leather is a mod that allows you to cook rotten flesh in a smoker to get leather. Runes. So the Runes mod is like an add-on for the RPG series. They're like these little stones that you can craft in the crafting table or in a rune crafting table, and you need runes in order to cast spells. So you have these spell books that you can attach scrolls to, and these runes are like the fuel. Satin-free wakes is a more performant version of the wakes mod, which adds these water trails to boats and to swimming while in water. Screenshot viewer is a pretty straightforward mod. It just adds a little menu to look at the screenshots that you've taken in game, and you know, you can look at them, you can copy, paste them, you can open the file location, all that good stuff. Control your screenshots. Look at your screenshots. Skulk expansion is a mod that adds some functionality to the skulk in the game. So wardens will now spread skulk around wherever they go, and skulk veins are now climbable in addition to also being craftable with skulk or vice versa. So skulk veins can turn to skulk. Searchables. I'm just gonna start saying whatever in these sections. Separated leaves. This mod makes it so that different tree leaf types will stay separated from each other so that the fast leaf decay will know what to break. Shifting wares. With this mod installed, villager trades have a small chance of re-rolling every time you fulfill a transaction. Simple voice chat is a mod that adds proximity chat to Minecraft. Oh, there it is. Yeah, here, mute in Discord.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the cat came back. She's just chilling. Oh, check this out.
Oh, here he is. Oh, there's...
Oh, I found a
dude, there's two.
diamond. I don't have a pickaxe.
Hold on. Sketch. Man, this video is taking me so long to make. Smooth scrolling refurbished makes it so that any menus in the game, like your resource pack menu or your settings menu, will now smoothly scroll up and down. Snuffles. So I don't know how many of you played League of Legends, but this is basically just the poros from League of Legends added to Minecraft. So they're attracted to baked potatoes, which you can breed them with. You can also shear off their fur to make different fur block types, breed them. They don't drop meats though, so they're literally just to look cute and to give you different decorative blocks. Sodium is the main honcho, the big dog of performance improving mods to Minecraft. With this mod installed, your FPS will go through the roof, baby, through the roof. Sooty chimneys. This mod adds a bunch of different chimney blocks that emit smoke, so you don't have to use campfires anymore. Soul candles adds new soul fire variants of the candle block to the game. So you get soul fire candles now. Sounds. The sounds mod adds a bunch of new sounds to the UI, so I'll just let you hear that. Spell engine. This is a pretty cool sounding support mod, and it's needed for all the RPG mods. Spell power attributes. That's also a really cool sounding support mod. Spyglass Astronomy is a mod that adds a custom nighttime skybox to every game and world that you generate. And with it, you're able to name stars and make constellations with the spyglass. You can just shift it to the constellation or star mode, and you're able to look up at the night sky and make constellations, which is pretty cool. I've always wondered what it would be like to travel by star in Minecraft. It doesn't really work with some shaders, but it is one of the more creative mods out there. Stack refill. With this mod installed, if you're placing blocks that just run out, but you have them in your inventory, it will just refill that slot so you don't have to click it. Stack to nearby chests. With this mod installed, you're able to quickly store all items that match with storage in your inventory around you all at once. You can also restock. Stalker creepers. With this mod installed, creepers actually wait to explode until you look directly at them. Status effect bars is a mod that adds these handy dandy visual overlays showing how much longer an effect has till it runs out. Stoneworks. With this mod installed, you can access a bunch more variants for different vanilla stone types for all of your building needs, different bricks, different polished blocks. Strong leads. This mod makes it so that leads can't break while you're leading a mob or an entity. So no matter how far you go or how fast you go, the lead will stay attached to the entity. Subtle effects. This mod adds a bunch of different visuals and audio effects to the game, like slime trails, a heartbeat effect when you're at low health, allay sparkles have kind of this magical glow about them, updated smoke texture, redstone dust and glowstone dust particles, and a bunch more. There's a ton to this mod. Suggestion tweaker. This mod improves the chat functionality, especially with commands, by giving you a better, more comprehensive autocomplete list to choose from. Supplementaries. This mod adds a ton of new blocks, items, and functionality to the game. There's honestly way too much I can cover here, but there's a couple of notable highlights, like placeable gunpowder, a slingshot that can shoot different items, like here I'm using it to place torches, a flute item, which is pretty fun, lots of different songs on that, a cog block, which acts as like vertical redstone, bricks you can vandalize now, rope blocks, and slime that can now be thrown and will bounce around. Tax-free levels. With this mod installed, your enchantment costs and repair costs will be a lot more reasonable. There's some information here on the screen, but basically the exponential increase by level is taken away, so now XP isn't so difficult to hold on to. Tiny item animations. This mod makes it so that items that you pick up and place in your inventory will scale up and scale down in a very satisfying way anytime you pick them up and move them in the inventory. Tooltip fix. This mod prevents tooltips from getting cut off by being too large and going off the screen, and it also tells you exactly how much durability an item has. Tooltip rareness adds different categories to different items depending on how rare they are, but it doesn't really work with some modded items. Traveler's Compass adds a special kind of compass to the game that allows you to search for blocks or entities depending on their loot table or if you have the actual block in your inventory already. Trinkets. This mod adds the trinket slot to your inventory. Trowel. This mod adds the trowel item to the game, which can place randomly from whatever other blocks are in the hotbar, which is really good for texturing and works with the effortless building mod. Universal bone meal. With this mod installed, your bone meal has just become way more valuable. It can be used on different plants like netherwort, melons, cacti, and sugarcane, glowberries, chorus fruit, podzol, and mycelium. Universal ores adds different ore types to different stone types. So diamond can now spawn in granite and calcite, and all these other ores, they'll spawn in basically any kind of stone in the overworld. Vanilla Refresh is a general purpose quality of life Minecraft mod. It adds this day counter, homing experience orbs, so they'll come to you from a long distance, posable armor stands, and a bunch of other configurable features. Village taverns. With this mod installed, there's a chance that a village tavern will be generated inside a village. And these are cozy little buildings where you can find the bartender villager profession. The taverns come with spare rooms with chests for you to put your items and beds if you need them, if you need to pass, stay over through the night. And maybe he'll have a nice conversation with you, share a drink, but be sure you're not the one driving home that night. Villager converting. With this mod installed, any villagers attacked by zombies will always turn into a zombie villager. Villager hats. This mod makes it so that all of the main vanilla villager professions hats can now be crafted and worn by the player, which looks pretty cool. I always wanted to be a librarian. Villager names. With this mod installed, any villagers that are generated in your world will come with their own custom names. Villager Trading Plus. With this mod installed, you can just simply click once to fulfill a transaction with a villager. Visual Workbench. With this mod installed, any crafting recipe that you leave in the crafting table will stay there, and you can visually see what is being crafted on the table of the crafting table. Visuality. Okay, this is the last of the small particle mods to talk about in here. It mainly adds sparkles to ores, bones off of skeletons, and sparkles to your diamond armor, which looks really cool. Voice chat interaction. This mod makes your voice trigger skulk sensors, but it doesn't work when I'm crouching, so that's kind of nice. So when you crouch, it's like whispering, but when you stand, your talking causes the skulk to like freak out. See? And hello. There we go. Void Totem. With this mod installed, your Totem of Undying will now save you from a fall in the void. It'll pop and give you a levitation effect, which you can crouch or sneak to come down from. What are they up to? This mod makes it so that you can see whatever menus another player is looking at. So their inventory or their menu screen, you can see it all. It'll render in front of them. Withering Heights. This mod updates the Wither to become much more difficult. It gives it more attacks, new abilities, and generally makes the Wither a much more difficult experience. Wizards. You're a wizard, Harry. This mod adds a bunch of content around wizardry and sorcery and magic and stuff with the RPG series. So it adds a bunch of new armor and weapons and 3 different types of elemental spells that you can do. So there's arcane, ice, and fire, each with their own special abilities and special magic, all of which are really satisfying and really cool. They have their own cooldowns, their own abilities. So yeah, you're a wizard. Yeetus Experimentus removes the annoying experimental features pop-up whenever you're creating a new modded world. Yet another config lib is used by everything. Look at this. Jung's API is used by Jung's better stuff, which we're about to look at. Jung's better desert temples, better dungeons, better end islands, jungle temples, mine shafts, nether fortress, ocean monuments, strongholds, and witch huts. All of which look like this. So I'm gonna let these cinematic shots play. Honestly, these new and revamped structures look so cool. And they've become ubiquitous to me. That means so normal that I don't even remember what the original looks like, especially the end island. Look at this. And finally, Wisey's backpack, which adds this very pleasing looking textured backpack to the game with a variety of different, variants with increasingly larger inventory sizes. And you just add them to the backpack slot and it just adds another inventory there. It just adds the inventory. Okay, folks, I gotta be honest, I'm so burnt out. I wanted to get this video out sooner than I did, but recording and doing all these voiceovers for these mods took me forever. So if you got this far, thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. You're the best. I will cover the resource packs and the shaders in another video, hopefully next weekend. So I don't mean to shortchange you. I know we said we'd cover those, but I'm just exhausted and I want to get this video out. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Go download my mod pack. Go join my Discord server. I'm going to add a YouTube member server, like a Minecraft server, survival server that you guys can join at some point. So stay tuned to that for that. And yeah, I'll see you later.